We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Ryan. Ryan and his wife recently purchased their forever house, and he has permission. Okay, first of all, forever and permission were both in quotes. All right, I'm just going to throw that out there. I didn't write this stuff. Forever house. I mean, it's not going to last forever, Brian. It's
no, but their plan is that
I know what their plan is.
They're not buying another house after this house. That's the plan.
That's the plan. All right. So, anyways, he's got permission from his wife, I guess, or spouse, I'm not going to judge, to set up a home theater in the family room. It's completely open to the rest of the house. So you should have gotten a different forever house. You should have gotten the one with the home theater room. I'm just going to throw that out there, that maybe you should call this your second to forever house. The next one has a dedicated home theater. But whatever, to each his own. It's completely open to the rest of the house, so he's into the 16,000 cubic foot territory. He understands he will not be pressurizing the setup with bass.
No, you will not.
No, he's not. The floor is all tile, but he will be able to put up some acoustic panels to help with reflections, unless you're putting them on the floor. And the seating will be and the seating will be a couch approximately 13 feet from the TV. That should leave roughly 14 feet behind the couch to the back. 4 feet. I don't know why I said that. The picture he provided isn't anything close to his final plans, just to give us an idea of the room. So you can see the couch has to be on the other side of the fireplace, which makes total sense. So that's what he's looking at right there.
But yeah, you can see the tile floor. We can't really see much of the openings, but this is more or less the space that he's working with. Just a concept.
Almost exactly like my tile in my house. And the fun thing about that tile is you can never tell it's dirty, because it's like blotchy, and you're like, is it dirty?
Right,
I can't tell.
Pattern.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like it's great. When you have kids. Anyways, he has a total budget of $6,000, but that needs to cover couch, rugs, TV stand, and acoustic panels on top of new AV gear, and he's in no rush. That, sir, is a good thing. He wants the theater completed by early 2018, so he's willing to wait for sales. Are you willing to save more money? Because a couch is like a good chunk of that $6,000. And that's anyways. So he won't have side walls, so he's thinking he'll have to mount his surround speakers on the back wall behind his couch. He also needs to keep the cost down, so he's thinking of maxing out at 5 speakers, since that makes the most sense to him. Do we agree?
I mean, that means a less expensive receiver, obviously fewer speakers that you're purchasing.
Yeah, I mean, if this is your forever house, don't you want to have like Atmos?
But that could be added later.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no reason you couldn't upgrade to 5.2.4 at a later date.
That ain't gonna happen. He's not gonna. It's forever. Once you set it and forget it. It's not gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, five speakers is fine. You could also. I mean, he's going to put them behind. That's fine, too. Your couch is not that far from the back wall.
Yeah, 4 feet behind you. I tried to get them a little ways to the outside of the couch.
As much as you can, yeah. I bet that couch is pushed up against the wall, though. So my thought...
Eventually. Sounds like it's a walkway, so I think that's...
Yeah, my thought is, what about little stands on the sides of your couch? What about that? Is that not an option at all? Like, could there not be a little
Maybe he's
stand?
wondering how you get the wire there, though, because you don't have side walls, so you don't have...
Dude, he's got a side wall. What are you talking about? It's
well,
right
maybe
there.
He's setting it up the other way, though. We don't know, because he said that's not the setup. That's just so we have a concept of the room. Maybe he's rotating at 90 degrees and putting the TV over the fireplace or something.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Right.
Well, you know what? You can still run the wire. There's always a way to run a wire. You can get a wire there. You're going to put a rug. You said rug. Right?
Yes.
Put the rug between where the wire is coming from and to where the wire is going, and then underneath the couch and then up the little stands. You could do that.
All right.
I mean, I'm just saying. Don't shut the door on your options until you have explored them all.
Yeah.
But 5 speakers is fine.
Yeah. The only thing I want you to avoid is having those, because they're supposed to be your surround speakers.
Yes.
They're not supposed to be your back speakers. So the only thing I want you to avoid is having them directly behind your couch, like, straight back. Have them out to the sides of your couch, and behind you is fine, but have them out to the sides of your couch. That's all.
So he likes the Ascend Acoustic Sierra 1 speakers. So he's planning to use those as his front, left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm.
He isn't sure what to use as surround speakers, though. Would bipole surround speakers be better for filling this wide open space with sound? And given that he figures the surround speakers will be mounted on the back wall, what would we recommend? I don't think that having a wide open space in any way dictates what kind of surround speaker you need. Unless, I just can't think of any reason why that would make that much of a difference.
Yeah, and in fact, with none of the drivers actually aimed at you and no walls around to reflect the sound off of, it's kind of just going off into the distance.
Yeah, I would get direct firing speakers. Yeah, like for sure.
And I'd aim them at, even though these are surround speakers, and we're normally saying like, oh, just point the surround speakers at each other so that they're not aimed directly at you. In this case, I'd aim the speakers at you.
I'd aim them right at you. Yeah. I would. Okay, if you can get them on speaker stands and like right behind the couch-ish, they're not behind, but right to the side of where your head is. Mm-hmm. Then a little, kind of a little bit behind that, then I would just tilt them in a little bit, tilt them forward just a little bit, so that they're kind of firing right over the back of the couch, right towards your face, sort of thing.
But if they are going to get mounted on that back wall, hey, those full cal birds.
Man, you love those things.
They're so versatile. They're compact. They look great. And they also sound really good. They actually match with the Sierra speakers really nicely.
Yeah.
So that's an easy recommendation. And they're not breaking the bank either, which is also nice.
Yeah.
So that's my choice for sure.
So he's eventually planning to have 2 subs, but depending on how the rest of the spending goes, dude, seriously, that couch is going to kill your budget. You've got to get the couch out of that $6,000 budget. You literally will have no money for anything else. I've said literally a bunch, and I would like to stop saying it now, so don't let me say it again. But that couch is going to be very, very hard. It's going to be very hard to spend less than $2,000 on a decent, comfortable couch, especially if you're going to want anything that reclines. It suddenly just goes astronomical very, very quickly. So just consider that $6,000 is not a lot of money for what you're trying to do, but that being said, what was the question? I forgot. What are we doing here?
It started on C, talking about subs.
All right. He's planning to eventually have 2 subs, but depending on how the rest of the spending goes, you need to start with just 1. Should he prioritize dual subs over speakers? For example, forego the center and surround speakers so he can afford dual subs right away. Does it make sense to start with 5.1, expand to 5.2 later? Totally start with 5.1 and expand to 5.2 later. I hate saying that, but in a room this size where bass is just going to just go off into the distance, and your replacement options are going to be almost nil, get 1 big old massive sub. I mean, and it doesn't have to be massive physically, but massive in how it plays. Set it up where then one of the 2 places you can put it, and then see how it sounds. Live with it for a while, and then decide if you really need that second sub. And realizing that even getting that second sub might not make the bass all that much more even anyways.
Yeah, because in a wide open setting like this, there's every chance that you won't actually need the second sub to get fairly uniform bass across your seats, because you're saying you got no sidewalls. That means the standing wave that's occurring from side to side is going to be, so low that you can't even hear it.
Right.
You're probably going to have a standing wave between your front wall and your back wall, but I mean, there's every chance that 1 sub in here will actually sound fine uniformity-wise.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of space.
Get 1 bigger sub rather than 2 smaller subs is what I would say.
Or if you get the second sub, you might end up co-locating them. You might end up stacking them or putting them side by side.
You're going to have a Marshall stack.
Not impossible. So, yeah, I agree. Go for 5.1. Go for 5.1. Or if you have to sacrifice something, sacrifice some speakers to get a higher output sub. Yeah. Because that's going to be important.
Yeah. So he asks, do we think the HSU VTF-3 Mk.5 would be a decent subwoofer choice? Since everybody these days now has an HP at the end of the ones that put out ridiculous things, I don't see an HP anywhere on this thing as that's high powered. So I'm going to say you should look for something that ends in HP.
Yeah, that's their 12-inch, 250-watt one. I mean, it's a nice sub. It plays down to
that's
20 hertz.
That's a 12-inch, 250-watt sub. That is completely inadequate for what you need. That's not
I mean, the price is attractive, right? It's a little over $500. So that's...
no,
but
not going to do it.
That's not the one I would go for.
No.
About the least expensive I might point you at would be Outlaw's Ultra-X12. It's actually not that different from the VTF2, but at least it has more power and a larger cabinet.
No, I don't like that one. Keep going.
I'd point you at HSU's, sticking with HSU, but I'd go up a model. I'd go to their VTF-3 Mk.5 HP, 15-inch sub, lots of output.
What's the amp?
Very good value.
What's the amp on that? We know. What's up with that?
You can click on the link and find out.
I'll click on it. You go. Keep going.
I mean, price-wise for max output, that VTF-3 Mk.5 HP can't really be beat. Now, Power Sound Audio, they have their 15V, but it's a little bit more expensive, and it plays sort of in the same ballpark. If
600 watt amp, it's $800. That HSU. Go on.
Yeah, the VTF-3. If you were looking maybe more at size as a consideration, you could consider like an SVS cylinder, a PC-2000.
Yeah.
PC-2000 won't play as loud as the VTF-3 Mk.5 HP for high power. Won't play as loud, but at least it won't break itself, and it's got the nice footprint, if that's a consideration. But all of those more expensive than the VTF-2, but I can't in good faith recommend the VTF-2 for you in this room size. Really nice sub, just you got a massive amount of space to deal with.
Okay, so you should, this should be your mindset. This should be your mindset for your subwoofer purchase. I would like to spend under $1,000, but I'm prepared to spend up to $1,200 on a subwoofer. That should be what's in your mind. Your $500 subwoofers just aren't going to cut it.
Nah.
It's just not going to happen. That those are for rooms that you cannot stick that in a 16,000 cubic foot room and expect it to do anything other than gasp for air. It's, you know what? I mean, this is the situation in which you find yourself. And that's why I'm looking at the $6,000 budget and going, yeah, dude, this is going to be tough. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't be able to find deals. Look on Craigslist, get some Google whatever things up, alerts that tell you that the deal is happening on one of these subs that we're talking about. But the bigger the sub that you can get, the lower it plays, the more output
the higher
it has.
The output.
That's what you need. It's just a big room. It's just a
big
room. So you're really gonna have to think along those lines. So he says since he doesn't have sidewalls, depending on where he ends up placing a subwoofer, it might be a lot easier and cleaner to use a wireless subwoofer kit. Is the Dayton Wave-Link okay, or should he pay more for a different connection kit? I don't remember talking about the Dayton Wave-Link. The only one I ever remember talking about is the one from Outlaw. Is that the one? I'm clicking on the Dayton.
That's the one I usually recommend. Outlaw's OAW4, but it is more expensive than the Dayton. SVS sells the Dayton, so it can't be too bad. Otherwise, they'd be getting a whole bunch of returns and they'd stop selling it. So, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the form factor of the Dayton because it's USB power, so then you have to get an adapter, USB plug adapter. The OAW4 is just easier because it's just a normal plug. But for the price, Dayton's probably fine. Most of the stuff they use is fine. It's just standard 2.4 gigahertz wireless transmission.
Got 2 reviews on the SVS website, and they're both 4 stars. Works really well. Easy to use transmitter that performs great, but USB power cable could be longer. Okay,
yeah,
there you go.
It's that USB thing.
Whatever. So sure, it's fine. Whatever, I don't care.
I mean, you get it from somewhere, you can return it. That's all I would say. I wouldn't have a problem giving it a try.
There you go. So what AV receiver should he purchase? He wants to make sure that he has the latest HDMI and HDCP versions. He wants since he wants an HDR TV. He wants it to power his Sierra 1 front speakers properly, but since he's maxing out at 5 speakers, there's no need to spend more than $500, right? This dude has got $500 on the mind. What model would we suggest? I don't know. Whatever, like I'm gonna say the same thing I said the last time. The whatever is the best version of Odyssey that you can get that powers the number of speakers you need it to power.
Right.
Because he's not doing anything, right? He's not really doing much of anything. He should be able to get an older receiver. He can't because he wants HDCP 2.0.
Yeah, he wants the high dynamic range support.
So it's probably, what's it going to be, a Marantz? Is it going to be a Marantz, the 11 series? Is that going to be it?
I mean, it could, but so Denon has a little bit higher value either way.
Okay.
So if you go with the Denon X2300, like remember we had at the beginning of the show we said Denon UK has said explicitly that thing's getting Dolby Vision. So I'm going to take them at their word. It should be getting Dolby Vision. Doesn't have it right now, but should be getting it. X2300, what is it? 300 and something bucks, $380 or something like that at Accessories for Less right now. $389 at Accessories for Less, under $500. X2300 does everything you need it to do. It would be a completely adequate choice. You could even add 2 more speakers in the future if you wanted to get to Atmos. You know, it can do that if you want to, but it's got multi-Q XT, all the amps that you need built in. It would power things fine. You're only 13 feet away. So yeah, that would be a fine choice. Now, if you go to the X3300W in Denon's lineup, now you're at $650 from Accessories for Less. We blew your $500 target, but you get multi-Q XT32.
That's the one.
You get a full set of pre-outs. So even if you're like, I gots to have me some more headroom and I want an external amp, you can connect an external amp to the X3300. You cannot connect an external amp to the X2300. It's the higher level of Odyssey. How important that is, you know, debatable.
Super important. I think, but that's just me.
See, so over on Marantz, you'd be looking at the SR5011, but that's still multi-Q XT, no XT32. So Denon has the better value. You either get the higher level of Odyssey for a little bit more money, or you save more money and still get XT with the 2300. So those are the ones I would look at.
I would totally go for the one with XT32.
The 3300. Yeah. It's a really nice receiver.
That would be my go-to on that one. In fact, if I was looking for another receiver, I would probably be looking right around there. Maybe the 4300. But
well, you want to do Atmos though, so 4300. Yeah.
This one said Atmos, the 3300.
Yeah, but it's 5.2.2 max.
Oh yeah. I
can't do any more.
I can't do that. As many speakers as I have. That's right. All right. So his room is not light controlled, and there are 5 large windows letting light in. So even though they'll be sitting 13 feet away, a flat panel TV seems like a better choice than a projection setup. Correct?
I'd have to say yes.
Yeah, I think so, dude. He's currently leaning towards the Sony. Dude, Sony? Okay, anyways. XBR65 X750D. All those numbers, I believe that 65 means that 65 inches. But he wants to make sure he's getting a true HDR TV at the best price possible. And Sony was your go-to, was it? Is this a good choice, or should he consider a different TV? Sony's make great TVs. I'm making some offhanded, disparaging remarks, but I don't want you to take them personally at all. It's not because I'm just trying to be entertaining. I'm not trying to be insulting. Sony is pricey. That's just true. You do get good value. I mean, you get good quality. You don't get good value, meaning that for less money, you can get a lot of the same performance that you get from a Sony elsewhere. Vizio is the one that we've been recommending a lot. I'm not sure why you're not looking at like the M-Series or the P. I can't remember the stupid series. I know M.
There is the P-Series, but that's more expensive. The M-Series is the value choice, hands down.
So, I mean, I don't know why you're not looking at that, because if you're looking to save money someplace in this whole thing that you've given us stuff, you're trying to skimp on the receiver, trying to skimp on the subwoofers. And I know the display is the thing that people are like, I need to have a good display. You can get a good display and save money. That is someplace where you can save some money here. You literally cannot save money on a subwoofer. I said literally again. You told me not. I told you not to let me say that. You can't.
I don't know when it's coming.
You can't say save money on a subwoofer because the dimensions of your room demand a certain amount of output, and to have that output you need a certain level of components, and those components cost a certain amount of money, and they will always require you to spend about $1,000 on a subwoofer. It's just the way it's the way it is, right? If you're in a small room, I could direct you towards a bunch of subwoofers. That'd be just fine for what you're doing. Your room, you cannot. Here we can save you a little bit of money, and we can save it by directing you away from Sony, which, by the way, would be a great TV. I'm sure this is a fantastic TV. I'm being kind. I mean,
he specifically said the X750D, which to me is a bit of an odd choice when you're saying you want really good HDR at the best price possible. It's compatible with HDR10.
Okay.
So it'll take an HDR signal. Does not work with Dolby Vision, and it's really not that bright. I mean, I would call it an HDR compatible TV as opposed to an HDR capable TV.
Okay. So it can accept the signal, but maybe not really recreate it all
it'll
that
take
well.
the signal. You'll get an image, but it's really not going to be brighter than standard dynamic range content. It's just it wasn't really built for that particular model. The M-Series from Vizio for the same size is $100 less because the X750D is from last year.
Okay.
So the current M-Series, way brighter, also does Dolby Vision. I mean, people look at the M-Series and they're like, oh, it doesn't hit 1,000 nits. But I'm like, for the money, it gets darn close. It gets to like 800 nits. Does Dolby Vision, full array local dimming, has Chromecast built in. Like it checks all the boxes, and it's cheaper for the same size. Or you could go up a size to 70 inches for like the same price. So the M-Series is the easy recommendation here. If you want to go even cheaper and still have really good performance, although still not quite as bright as the M-Series, it's not actually out yet, but you said you're in no rush, that this doesn't have to get done until 2018. TCL, they have their own P-Series, the TCL P-Series. Another really good choice. Their 65-incher is only supposed to be $1,000.
Wow.
Also does Dolby Vision, also full array local dimming, but only hitting around 500, 550 nits or so. So not quite as bright as the Vizio M-Series. But I mean, I'd go for that Vizio M-Series all day in this situation.
All right. Well, let us know what you end up doing, dude. And know that you're going to end up having a fantastic home theater once we get this all worked out. So, yeah. And hopefully you'll have something to sit on at the end of it too. I'm not really sure that we're gonna help you get there, but we're gonna try. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.